We wanted to create a fun, non-judgmental space where women can talk about their shared experiences.
Here, we will normalize the challenges we face as females living in a society that dictates unrealistic and outdated expectations on what a woman should be.
Together, we hope to cultivate a supportive community of women who empower one another to courageously live unapologetically.
A quick disclaimer before we get started. Although Cindy and Danielle are licensed therapists, this podcast is not to be interpreted as therapy or a replacement of therapeutic services. It is strictly a conversation between two women about their experiences in the world. If you liked today's episode, please make sure to like and subscribe below. Also, follow us on all of our social media platforms at Unapologetically Females. With that being said, we hope you enjoy this episode.
So at 16, you said, I'm going to take the test, graduate early. And the intention behind that was to go out and serve, right?
Yeah, it was just I love being at church. I have really great group of friends. We all have fun together. And maybe it was a little bit of comfortability because my mom was a pastor at the church. So I was already kind of like, there was no like hoops to jump through. It was like, this is just like, I'm comfortable in this space because I'm accepted. Because it's like, you're the pastor's kid. So it's just like, And so I just really enjoyed being there. Loved my friends. And, I was just like, I just want to be here all the time. And I would rather the church schedule was conflicting with my school schedule because it was like late nights and my parents were there and my whole family was there, so it was like family and friends all together, and we were all together and we were all having fun and doing cool stuff. And I got to explore avenues of myself like with music that I had never explored before, so that was like kind of like new and exciting. And so I just was like, well, the schedule is like kind of conflicting, so like let me just like get out of school. So
let me just test out of high school and be done with this.
Who, girl?
I know
what.
You.
Yeah.
That's who you.
Yeah, I was just like I didn't. That's what I mean. Like I was like
you didn't understand the magnitude
the gravity,
of
and
that.
Maybe
Yes,
it was because I had like moved countries a lot and like whatever. So it was like
absolutely
testing out of high school early because you just want to what But yeah.
So that entrepreneurial mindset that you've evolved into, did you have that at 16 when you graduated early? Was it, I'm going to be done with school so I can go pursue business, or was it, I'm just gonna, it's church, it's family, it's friends.
It's like literally just like, I'm enjoying this right now, so this is what I'm gonna do. And really, I think it's an insensitivity to the gravity or the weight of like certain like societal norms,
right.
And I think there wasn't an entrepreneurial spirit there, but there was a drive and a decisiveness there that I think can like it pave
translate
the
it
way.
over.
Translate it over. I've never been a person who's motivated by money. I've never been a person who's motivated by success or like in the sense of for like the things you would typically like expect someone with an entrepreneurial spirit, like someone who's an entrepreneur, like maybe you would expect that when they were a kid they were like selling things on the side, or like they had like
lemonade stand and bracelet making,
or they're like I'm gonna when I'm older I'm gonna be so successful, I'm gonna travel the world. I had none of that at all.
You never dreamt of owning a private jet?
No. No, I never even even to this day, like to me the most important things are family and security and comfort. Like I'm the person to choose something that's convenient and comfortable if it costs me money versus something that's like looks really cool or looks like I would much rather like invest in something that's going to make my life easier and more comfortable than invest in something that's like, oh, like this is really cool and flashy or like whatever.
So you wear flats instead of heels.
Yeah, I am Steve Jobs. I wear the same black flip-flops every single day because they're comfortable and they're easy to put on.
Love it.
But I have to say, obviously I run a skincare company, so it's like I've always had a love for beauty and fashion and just expression in that way.
Okay.
Like I think self-expression is a value that I like have. Like I want to be able to have the tools in my toolbox to be able to express myself how I feel I am. But it's not really like I want to be perceived like as successful or perceived as, having status or whatever. So like I just want to show up how I feel like I am on the inside, So like entrepreneurial is not a word I would use for myself, which is weird. But driven, yes. Decisive, yes. Maybe a little bit of a risk taker, especially when I was younger without a fully formed frontal lobe. Yeah, I would probably say that I'm probably that person. But entrepreneurial, no.
Interesting.
Isn't that weird?
So when did you start having the thoughts of like, I'm going to set out to create a skincare line? Because that's very
like
specific.
Niche.
You're like very specific.
Yeah. So it's actually a cool story. So, one of the things that I struggled with growing up, and weirdly, it kind of is associated with the power dynamics theme that has been like an undercurrent in my life. It was I had acne, and so I always that was like always a thing. Like, this is holding me back. This is like interfering with my ability to express myself in the world, to show up as the way I feel like I am on the inside, and to even be seen as like powerful. It's almost like you have something out of your control that's like, that's affecting how people perceive you. And so because of that, you're less powerful. And I think that, so having acne for me was always something that was like a thing for me, I think for that reason. And I was always on a mission to fix it. And so
For yourself, for others,
for myself to begin with. And because of that, I just have this natural curiosity to learn. I'm really big on accumulating knowledge, and I love to learn. Like, I'm a forever student, and that's the thing that really like keeps me going forward. And so I was even at like, I got my first blackhead when I was like 7, which is crazy. But by the time I was like 11, I had like full-fledged like acne, which over time through different, hormonal changes, and I was on birth control, evolved into like cystic acne. So it was like,
I had that too. It was awful.
Yeah. So it was pretty like hard. And especially at the age that I had it, and especially with the personality that I had of like, I want to be powerful. I want to be like in control of like my life and my decisions and the way that people perceive me. It was like the thing that I could never control. And so even trying birth control and different like acne treatments and proactive and all sorts of different things, we threw everything at it. And I just had like, and now I'm thankful for it because it's actually been an amazing like vehicle. Like, I'm the best test bunny in the world because I have the worst skin in the world, like the most sensitive, reactive skin. And so, it's that for me, I think trying to figure that out was like a theme in my life from like the age of 11 to like 20. And so through acne, I actually got introduced to the whole world of like holistic healing and health and wellness and all of that. And I was like, wow, I was so fascinated by that because the world, the perception that I had of my body and the world and the way humans worked was just that you just have genetics, and if you're going to get a disease, you're going to get a disease, and that's it. It is
what it is.
Yeah, so then when I got introduced to like, hey, you actually have more control over your health and well-being than you think you do, I was like, wow, this is, this is crazy. This is empowering. And it was also beautiful because it was like, oh, wow, like this world around me is actually a vehicle for healing, and not only for myself but for others. And so it made me feel more connected to the earth. It made me feel more connected to God. It made me feel more connected to like my daily life because I knew all of a sudden, wow, the choices that I make every day actually have an impact on like my body and my hormones and my skin and all of that. So I became enthralled with this, and so I just threw myself into it. And before I knew it, I was listening to health podcasts, and I found out that I actually really loved human biology. Like human biology fascinates me. Like, I'm so fascinated with the way that things work and how we are the way that we are, and the way our physiology interfaces with the world and food and the molecules in food. And so I was reading, I didn't even know it at the time, but I was actually reading like research papers, like published research papers in journals.
Yeah.
And I was just had this sort of knack for it. Like I just inherently kind of understood it. It made sense to me. My logical mind and the way that it was working, you know, just kind of, I just grasped it. And I was, so that was like at like 16, 17.
Wow.
So like right after I tested out, about a year later, I started to pick up on like, I found the world of holistic healing and I just threw myself into it. And I would, my parents, I don't know if they would remember this, but I would just come out and, you know, at the end of, you know, of a day, and I'd been on YouTube all day, and like YouTube was like my college experience, I guess, the beginning of it. And I'd be like, did you know like that folic acid is actually like folate, and folate is like the MTHFR, you know, involved in the MTHFR cycle, and, you know, blah, 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 like all like detox, and, you know, and they're like, okay, like, you know,
Sure,
you're speaking like another language right now, I don't really know. You know, so that was kind of like where I ended up because of my acne. And long story short, you know, kind of just started to build more and more knowledge. And then when I was 18, 19, kind of came to a point where I was like, okay, well, I'm 18 now. I need to, you know, I was kind of getting a sense that maybe college was something that I didn't feel compelled or like it was a mandatory thing, but I kind of felt like, well, maybe I should try, and, you know, that seemed like the next step in life. And, you know, there was a lot of things up in the air at that time. We didn't know if we were going to stay living in California, if my parents were going to end up moving somewhere else. And because of that uncertainty, I actually ended up just going into, I was like, well, I want to do something. And so I ended up signing for a program for to become an esthetician. Yeah, and I was like, well, this makes sense because I'm really interested in the skin. I'm fascinated by human biology, and I'm even more fascinated by the biology of human skin because it's near and dear to my heart. It's something I struggle with. So if I can learn enough about it, maybe I can fix it for myself.
Do something about it. Yeah.
So I became an esthetician thinking, well, that's probably going to help me. You know, I'm maybe going to learn something more. Somebody's going to direct me in a certain way. And what was interesting about that experience is that I didn't end up really learning anything that I didn't know already. But
From YouTube and research papers?
Yeah. But what ended up happening was I actually learned that, hold on a second, my passion is for teaching and for knowledge and not for the practice itself. And a teacher actually came up to me. We had done an oral sort of test, and she was crying, and I had just like aced the test. I don't know. I was just like, yeah, I know all these, and she was crying. She was tearing up. She said, "You are so like intelligent." She's like, you have like your ability to like understand all of these concepts is like crazy to me. And to me, I kind of go, well, like, oh, I don't know. It was kind of like basic stuff, but I guess she just saw in me that I had like there was something in me that was like, you want to find the knowledge for, like, you're interested in
the
this.
gift.
Yeah, more than,
This is your passion.
Yeah,
It's in you.
Yeah, she saw, like, it was like a defining moment where she saw, like, you have a gift in this specific area, not in being in a spa and doing, and all of that is beautiful. And like, I actually, at this point in my life, it would be cathartic for me in a way because it is very ritualistic. And, but before I just, you know, she saw that I had a hunger for knowledge and she was like, you just, you know, and so because of that, I actually started to explore like, well, what would it look like to have this sort of passion for skin, but have like a different, approach it in a different way, like not going the traditional route. Non-traditional, not going the traditional route that an esthetician would go, where you know, set up a spa and you wax or you do facials or whatever, but actually doing something different with it. And so what I ended up doing is going, well, you know, my parents are sick of hearing me yapping about all this stuff. Like, I should maybe just like put it out into the world for people to hear it and see it and kind of like for me, it was more of a almost like a diary of just like getting what was in my mind out. Yeah. And so I actually started a social media about health and wellness and skin and all of these things. And through that experience and just sort of building a community of people on Instagram and doing things like writing and science writing, I actually started to realize like, oh, like people are like benefiting from,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, you're helping and
yeah,
teaching, like you said.
benefiting from this information, and they're, you know, really, you know, I need to like keep looking for answers, not for myself and for people, and you know, throughout.
Did you build like an engaging community that they were giving you feed? That's really cool.
Yeah,
Very
on Instagram.
There are so many, obviously social media has so many complexities. We've done an episode on social media and the pros and cons. And like, this is, I love that you were able to use it in a way that
helped people.
helped people,
Yeah,
and
and
you were had
didn't
like a community that it was a mutual exchange, and you were like, I'm going to find an answer for us.
Yes, exactly. And I think that like, and through all of that experience, I was still looking for an answer for myself. So it was like this sort of collective community experience of like, we're all in this together, we're all looking for answers, and I'm sharing it was very personal and very authentic to me. It wasn't like I was just sharing.
It wasn't forced.
Yeah, it wasn't forced, and it wasn't like I was just sharing, you know, like I started a skincare business, you know, I'm, you know, like I'm an esthetician now, and so I need to like build a social media presence. Right. It was very much like, I just kind of am like, you know, finding this stuff, and like maybe it'll be helpful to people, and you know, so it was this very like authentic journey that we were all going on together. And I, you know, eventually was like, well, you know, I need to, you know, maybe try and do something with social media. Like maybe I should make a course, or maybe I should, you know, I'm, you know, kind of pursuing this as a, you know, as a profession of being like full-time on social media. So I was like, how do I like allow myself to do that? And
hold on, I didn't realize. So that was an intentional thought. Now you're like,
so this is where the intention came
in.
Yeah, I started to wake up. I was like, you know, So that was probably the first time.
How old were you?
I was 20, almost 21.
Okay, so married and a mom now at this stage?
Married and a mom, and I think that probably played into it, because I was like, well, I need to like I want to be able to work and stay home with my daughter. And so I want to be able to work from home and the freedom to like be a mom, because that was like one of the most important things to me. It was just, I love being a mom and wanted to be a really good mom. And I think part of that has always been just a natural inclination as a human being. But the other part of it was like, because I had a baby out of wedlock and my parents were pastors and I grew up in the church, and you know, all of that, it was almost like I'm not going to be a statistic. So I was like,
I love that.
Yeah, so I was like that was another part of it that was driving me, and that may have played into the fact like of that intention sort of coming alive in me, where now I'm actually exerting force on my life in a certain direction, you know?
So was the initial intention of for like the, I guess, business side of things, and was it rooted in being having a social media platform, or that was about wellness and skincare and potentially a course and things like that? Or was it at that point in time, had you decided I'm going to create a skincare brand?
So when I did the course, so that my first moment of intention of like, okay, I'm going to monetize this area of life because it actually serves my interests of like wanting to be a stay-at-home mom and, you know, wanting to have the freedom and like do this as a career. But it was also like sort of contextualized by like I just was like so turned off by like the self-promotion, like self-serving aspect of,
because it's
like
not the Australian way.
Yeah. Part of it is that for sure. And so I, you know, it was always had to be about helping people. Like I was always like very firm of like, that's a value of mine that I'm not willing to compromise on. Like I'm not going to do anything if it's not going to help people. But if I have something to help people and it can help me be a better mom, and it can help me be a better wife, and it can help me be a better, you know, have, you know,
provide for your family.
Provide for my family, then I'm going to do that, you know? And so that's when I started doing that, started kind of coming up with a course. And throughout that process of coming up with a course, you know, when you're dealing with skin, you're dealing with both internal and external things, you know? So you're dealing with having to take care of your skin in an external, you know, way. And obviously the internal plays a role as well. And so I was doing the course from the perspective of like, how do we take care of our skin internally and externally? So there was this internal component where I was researching food and, you know, nutrition and lifestyle and all of that in a way of like, how do we orient and engineer our lifestyles to support healthy skin? But then there was also the topical aspect of like, well, what's the best thing to use for acne? What should you use and what should you avoid? And how do you do it in a way that's holistic and natural? And so when I actually went down that path of doing research for that, and then, you know, trying to figure out what ingredients do you avoid and what ingredients do you use, and what's the best, what actually gets on a cellular molecular level, what is causing acne, and then how do we actually find, you know, what ingredients can actually balance that molecularly. And that research, and then, you know, finding all of these amazing ingredients that actually on a cellular level balance the skin so that it actually activates your skin's own natural like healing mechanisms to create and facilitate clearer skin. When I found those ingredients, I was like, okay, like now let's find products that we can recommend. Like what brands are using these ingredients? What brands are using all of the good ingredients and none of the bad ingredients? And I was like, there's none.
Wow.
You know? And so I was like, and here's where the really crazy part is I was standing, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was standing in my bathroom, you know, getting ready for bed at night, and I was brushing my teeth, and I clearly felt a voice speak to me, that I was like, I've only heard that voice like 1 or 2 times in my life, and it's not audible. It was just this very quiet voice that I know that thought didn't come from me. It just like interjected itself into my experience. And it was like, you think it's about the course, and it's actually about the products that you're going to make. And so I just, instead of like, you know, I had all of these ingredients and these formulations that I, you know, kind of formulation ideas that I had compiled that I was like, oh, like, you know, and, you know, was even like testing a formulation, like kind of toying with the idea. And it was at that moment that I was like, okay, like this is actually what I'm meant to do. So I diverted my energy. I didn't even release the course. I just actually sort of drip released the information and things that I had found over time through my social media in the way I had always kind of really been doing it, of just like sharing my information, what I learned, and then just invested all of my energy into creating the product. And what's crazy is that I had been battling acne at that time for 10 years and nothing had ever worked. And then that serum that came out that I had formulated through that research completely like cleared my acne. And over the time,
How do you even know where to start?
I know,
with
that's
that?
what I was going to say.
Like, how do you even know, like, I'm going to create this.
I'm going to use this and this formula.
Yeah.
And just like,
but you know what's crazy is through all of the experience and just even reading the research papers and everything like that, I feel like I was being guided. It was like this very clear sense of like when I would read something, it would be like, it would unlock something and then it'd be like, okay, now go here. Okay, now ask this question. Okay, now explore this. And and it was there were times where I was like, oh wow, this is a lot. Like I felt like I was pushing on the limits of my own intellectual, of my own intellectual capabilities. But it was that drive and that determined decisiveness within me that was like, you're going to decide to push through this right now, and you're going to you will get it. Like you will get it. And it's just crazy because I had a writing job at that time with another company, and the research that they were having me do that I was having to, you know, it was a job requirement of mine to sort of push through. Like, you know, my boss had expectations of me. Yeah. And so that sort of like oversight and that external pressure also kind of forced me to push the boundaries and grow. And it was like all of these things culminated together in the perfect amount of time. And if I had not graduated at 16, I would have never had, and even if I had gone the traditional route of college and all of that, would not have had the time at all to be able to go as deep as I did at the age that I did, to be able to create and release and start a skincare company at 21. I was just reading the research of taking the physiology of the skin when what happens to the skin's physiology when you have acne. What is the root cause of what's going on there? What's going wrong that's happening, right? And the holistic experience, like being introduced to the holistic world, was the whole reason I had that question in the first place, because they in allopathic medicine and in conventional medicine, it's kind of like, well, you're just dealing with a problem and we're going to fix it. Right. It's kind of like, not that they don't care about the root causes of why things happen, but their focus is, let's just manage this for you, which is like so valuable. Like there's
especially
so much
in like emergent situations.
Exactly. But I was, because I had been turned on to the knowledge that there could be a reason why this is happening in the first place. That was where I directed all of my energy. And so through an understanding of the physiology of the skin in an acne condition and the molecular changes that happen that actually cause bacteria to overgrow and your skin pores to be clogged and for, the beginning stages of an acne lesion to form, because they had that understanding, then I was able to go, okay, well, it's just, there's free radicals, there's inflammation, there's these other molecular compounds that are involved in initiating the acne process. What can we do to, neutralize those factors? And so that was kind of my guiding process. And it was very like sort of counter, in the skincare world, it's like, these are the good things, and anything else is just like, for marketing. Like if you're going to put a good ingredient in there, it's really not going to do anything.
So you were challenging the skincare norm.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, the unconventional theme through my life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So first product was
our Clarity Serum. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and over time, as I've evolved and my research has evolved and my understanding has evolved, and all of those things, we've evolved and changed and added new products, and I've learned the most valuable thing to me has been community, because you can actually, to be able to sit one-on-one with someone and say, and for them to say, to even say like, hey, it didn't work for me, and for me to like my decisiveness, determinedness to go, I need to find out why it's not working, has actually been the biggest like catalyst for change. And even as my own skin has changed and I've gotten older and I've gone through hormonal changes and living in different climates and living in different, like that has been a learning process for me. And it's crazy because all of the experiences that I've had myself and the experiences that I've had in community, learning about other people, has always been a catalyst for new levels of understanding of the skin, to where we've been able to release products that are very like conscious and intentional of like, this is a problem that, a certain number of people are having, and it's a shared experience. And to be able to give people a tool to be able to meet them where they're at in their skin journey. So
it's so interesting to me, because when you described yourself as a teenager and you said, well, I had a little bit of a narc in me, I really didn't worry about other people, but it's that determination that formed, that blossomed, and then you opened yourself up to helping people eventually.
And that compassion and that sensitivity to people's emotions has always been there as a kid, and it kind of got like muffled when I was that age. And then as I got a little bit older and out of that phase and realized that having power and popularity and and
achieving quote unquote success in other people's eyes.
Yeah, being considered hot by a guy or whatever is like not really all it's cracked up to be. Like it's not it's not like really like the essence of the human experience itself. That was when I was like, no, you know what? Like I came back to my roots and I was like, no, like I don't want to be pursuing things for the sake of like accumulating material like things. That felt so icky to me, and I almost like was like grossed out by myself before. That's things that I've struggled with, the things that I did during that time to other people. Like I look back and I go, oh my god.
Oh, we all have that.
Yeah.
I mean, we just
but it is really incredible to see that part of me reemerge again and be compassionate and soft and caring and in a new way, because I know what it's like to not see that and the effects that it can have. So now to like really see like that really like human connection and helping people is like the most important thing.
Yeah. So how many products in total do you have now
Oh my gosh. I don't know off the top of my
that
head.
are available?
I probably would have to. We have cleansing oil. We have 2 cleansers. We have a scrub. We have a mask. And we have 2 serums. No, 3 serums. Sorry. And then we have a hair oil.
Wow.
Gosh, I hope I'm literally not embarrassing myself as a CEO right now. Like, you don't even know. But we've had fluctuations. Obviously, running a natural skincare business, it's not like synthetic produced in a lab where it's like you have
Always
access to that
available,
material all the time.
Okay.
And so over time we've had to discontinue things, and so we've discontinued some items because of like unavailability of certain ingredients and other things like that. And just evolving expenses with the economy. Like sometimes you just can't afford to make things anymore. And so, but we have a lot of new products like in development, and I'm actually the most excited about the newer products that we have coming out.
That's what I was going to ask you. What's the future of
Yeah,
Sauna House?
exactly.
Like,
The development is really, I mean, I've intentionally I call it keeping my ear to the ground with the community, because that is where I have always found my direction, is through people. It's like, what do you need, and what are you experiencing? What are you feeling about your skin? What are you learning about yourself in relationship with your skin, and as you listen to it? And all of those years of having my ear to the ground has been so invaluable, and arguably I would think like I don't know how people do it otherwise, because like, how do you know you're really helping people, and how do you really know what people need unless you ask them? And a lot of the skincare world, I don't want to say everyone, but there's a lot of the skincare world that kind of goes, well, I know what's best for you, and if it doesn't work for you, then your skin's probably just too bad, and you need something really stronger, like maybe you should go get a prescription. But my thing has always been, no, I think you like know your skin better than like you think you do, and you not having having the anticipated reaction to something that's like clinically proven, it like doesn't mean that your skin's broken. It means like maybe there's a message there, and a message that we all can benefit from. And so
sounds like a very prophylactic approach, right? Like, and lifestyle change too.
And lifestyle change is definitely a huge factor as well. My thing has always been, how do we make your life easier and make actually your healing process easier by helping your skin, so that you can take that stress off your plate, and then we can actually give you the time and space to think about, okay, what foods should we maybe remove, and like all of those things. But the development where the stage that we're at now is like, I feel like it's like the final, like it's like the blossom, and then maybe not the final, but it's like all of the culmination of like 7 or 8 years of just my life experience, and finding myself, and trying to meet other people in the midst of all of that, and develop things that are really going to help people. And the more recent stuff, oh my gosh, like I feel like I'm just so excited about it, because I feel so confident in it, because not that I was never confident before. I've always known, because of what it's done for people, that it really works. It works. But there's like a level and a layer of understanding that I've achieved now, and a level of complexity and nuance that I'm able to kind of hold in my perspective about the skin, and about kind of life in general, but about the skin, that I feel like what I'm going to present to the world going forward is going to be so meticulous and carefully formulated. And some of it I always love to send samples to like, I talk to my customers all the time. Right? Yeah. No, I should totally bring over some samples. But I sent some samples out to like, the customers that I talk to all the time, and the feedback that's been coming back is just like so amazing. And I've picked some of the more complex cases of people to, who have struggled even with my help and support, to like send these new rounds of products to, and I'm very excited.
That's exciting.
We're excited for you.
I know,
you.
right?
Yeah.
I feel like the theme throughout your life is really determination.
Yeah.
Determination, perseverance. And I love that you have held on to giving back. Like
Yeah.
it's a constant undertone of the decisions that you're making and that you have made. Graduating high school, I'm going to graduate high school because I'm going to give back. I'm going to go do something in service. And you've held on to that. And I think that's beautiful.
Thank you.
And how you have received the information from the community that you've built to continually serve them and give back to them. I think that,
I think that's why you're successful.
Exactly. I think that's what has defined your success is that.
And I think like it couldn't have been any other way. Like I can't imagine like being so alien. I just would feel so purposeless, like to be so alienated and far from community in that, like, I just wouldn't feel that what gets me up every day in the morning is not that I'm an entrepreneur and that I have to run a business and that I have to get all these things done and I'm just like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to run a business. It's that people need me, like for like I'm helping them. And even when I feel like I'm not, like somehow it evolves into a new understanding where I am able to help them or I'm able to help more people because of that experience. And so it's like, I just could not like force myself to get up in the morning and do what like all the things that I'm doing, like running a business and all of that, if it wasn't embedded in some sort of sense of deeper purpose of helping people, because I think I would have just quit.
Sure.
I think I just honestly would have just quit.
But you can see that you're making a difference and you can feel that.
Yeah, and that's when I feel like giving up, that is the only thing that pulls me back. It's not it's not encouragement, it's not family, it's not internal motivation, it's not some sort of sense of wanting to accomplish something in life or reach my full potential. It's just like, okay, people need me and I want to be there for them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So where can people find Sauna House?
So Sauna House, saunahouse.co, that's our website. And then I'm on social media a little bit. I've been kind of waxing and waning with my social media like presence and involvement just because I don't know, like my relationship to social media, I'm really examining it, but it's also kind of necessary. So I'm on social media, I'm Well by Sophia, and then saunahouse.co on social media on for the business page.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, go check her out. Go follow. Go look at the website, all the things.
Buy all the products.
Buy all the products. Yeah.
You need them all.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Of course, it was so nice.
Are so inspiring. Your story is incredible.
Incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, you're amazing.
I love that you are such an out of the box thinker.
Yes.
It's been a very alienating experience, but I feel like the older that I get, the more I'm like, no, this is me.
This is who I am.
You're on the right path.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was
appreciate
so
you
nice.
being here.
Yes.
Thank you.
As always, I'm Danielle.
And I'm Cindy.
Until next time.
Thanks for listening.